fear that I may be losing my grip on reality. I'm sorry, but I don't have much time. I need to get this out. Let me pick up where I left off. Sitting in that diner early into the morning, I drank cup after cup of black coffee. I haven't slept right in days, and last night I didn't sleep at all. All I could think to do was look up Brian on Facebook and see what I could find. I really don't know how I've missed so much. I feel like I've just been walking around the world ignorant to the details in it. Brian doesn't even have a last name. At least he doesn't have it listed on his profile. Worse than that, he has added a bunch of my family and friends, including my mother. What the hell was he up to? Exhausting every other avenue I could think of, including reverse image searching his profile picture, I came up with nothing else. He was a ghost, or at least a very private person online. I decided to call my best friend Tyler. It's been a while since we last talked, but I found that to be a normal part of adult life. Straight to voicemail, and again straight to voicemail. One of the only people in the world I could trust, and I couldn't get a hold of him. No time to dwell on it. I had to figure something else out. The thought of reaching out to a psychic popped into my mind. I'd never been the type to believe in the supernatural or even horoscopes, but after all I had just been through, it really didn't seem all that far-fetched. A quick search online turned up a ton of results. The number of options overwhelmed me at first, but I found one that was opening soon and paid my tab. Looking back, I really wish I had been able to take my car before leaving my house. The walk would be long, but I really didn't have much choice. After an exhausting long walk, I was finally there. Jenny's Guide to the Great Beyond read the sign above the doorway. Was I really about to give this a go? Crazy as it sounded, I was ready to try anything. Inside the shop, I was greeted with a door chime. An empty reception desk and a few chairs were the only things inside. This place was dimly lit and uncomfortably eerie. Incense burned out of a Buddha doll, filling the air with a thick, woody fragrance. Just before I tried to turn around and leave, a voice came calling from somewhere in the back. "Coming! I'll just be a moment. Please have a seat." I chose to stand, still not sure I had made the right choice. Before long, an older woman appeared through some hanging beads to the right of the desk. She wore a long, multicolored dress with a necklace of colorful stones around her neck. Long black hair draped over her shoulders, reaching down to her waist. She had to have been in her late 50s. Even still, she was surprisingly attractive. "How may I help you today, Star Child?" she said in a pleasant yet grainy voice. The expression on her face changed from pleasant to worried when she got a good look at me. "Oh my, you have a strange aura about you. Please come with me." Before I could respond, she turned and disappeared into the hanging beads. I made a quick glance at the front entrance before deciding to follow. "Please sit. I have questions," the woman said, waving me into the small room. A table and 2 chairs were all it had room for. I quickly sat down. The feeling of discomfort was starting to rise. I felt as though something inside me did not want to be here. Nervously waiting for her to speak again, I tapped my fingers on the table. "You have been in contact with the dark energy. Of this I am certain. Spirits like this must be invited into one's life. Do you recall inviting anything new into your life?" She spoke quietly, as if the wrong person or thing might hear. I got a new roommate a few days ago, and he has really scared the living shit out of me," I said, trying to keep my composure. "It's strange though. He seemed so normal during the day, but last night he attacked me. Deceitful, tricky. These forces can make you question your choices and actions. You must be careful." She was now staring directly at me, her face stone cold. "I need more time with you to assess the nature of this. I think I can help you." The yellow hanging light above began to flicker and sway. My discomfort turned to fear. Something felt very wrong here. My chest tightened and I suddenly felt as though I desperately needed fresh air. I think I need a minute to breathe outside," I began to say.
"No! Stay put, damn it! I said I need more time. This isn't up to you. The consequences of your meddling are great."
Her voice was piercing, nothing like it was before. She stood up and raised her arms to each side. The hanging light was now swinging fast back and forth as the table in front of me began to shake. The smell of sour milk assaulted my nostrils. "Demones crerunt et coronemescunt, canes verenunt, animoa tua." What the hell is she saying? Was that Latin? I didn't want to stay to find out. The hanging beads parted as I turned and ran through them. In just moments, I was through the front door and back on the street. Running seemed to be the only thing I was good at, so that's exactly what I did. My world was crashing down around me. Where else could I go? My best friend never returned my calls. It seemed as though Brian had networked his way into my friends and family. I decided that I was far enough away from that crazy woman. Out of ideas, I spotted a nearby bench and sat down. I'm not proud to admit this, but I just buried my face into my hands and cried. Hysterical sobs, belting out my thoughts and emotions. It had all hit me in that moment. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket. "Hey honey, I'm at your house. Can you meet me there? I'd really like to talk to you." My mom was at my house. Good God, why on earth would she think to go there now? The last place on earth I wanted to be. My heart started racing. What choice did I have? If she was there, I needed to get there as fast as possible. Brian has been mostly normal during the day, but what if he tries to hurt her? My mind was made up. I was going back. The pain in my lungs was almost unbearable. I was not used to running this much. The thought of Brian hurting her was the only thing that kept me running. Turning the final corner into my neighborhood, I saw my house up ahead. Police cars. There were 2 police cars in my driveway with their lights on. Shit! What if he already got to her? That son of a bitch must have hurt her, or worse. I tried to prepare myself for the worst as I made it to my front door. Panting hard, I opened the door, expecting all manner of horrific things. "Hi, honey. These officers have some questions for you." My mother's voice calm but worried. Inside my living room, there were 2 officers who were now looking at me. My clothes were dirty and drenched in sweat. My hair was greasy and unkempt. I smelled of thick body odor. To my left, my mother Carol sat on a couch, and standing a bit further back was Brian. His face was bruised black and he had bloody gauze up his nose. My entire body went cold. "We have a written statement here that you have terrorized this man and assaulted him with a baseball bat. You also installed a camera in his room. We have a warrant for your arrest," one of the officers said, pointing back at Brian and then to a clipboard he had in his hands. "I terrorized him? No. He terrorized me. He's out of his goddamn mind. I only hit him in self-defense. You would understand if you saw what he did," I was shouting. Desperation in my voice made it hard to speak clearly. "Oh, honey, Brian is such a nice guy. Have you not been taking your medication?" my mom said before bursting into tears. Brian walked over to console her. "You keep your hands off her, you hear me?" I said as I moved closer to her. The second officer moved forward and blocked me from getting any closer. "Do you have anything else to say before we go?" the first officer said, looking up at me. "Mom, tell him I'm okay. Tell him I didn't do it. I don't take any medication." I couldn't believe what was happening. I had Brian get everyone to turn on me. Tyler didn't even answer his phone. I tried calling him twice. "Oh, honey, you don't remember. Tyler hasn't spoken to you in months. He had to block your number. He said you kept calling him late at night and just crying uncontrollably. He said he felt bad, but he didn't know what else to do. I should have known you stopped taking your medication again." She was fighting through tears to say this. Medication? I don't remember ever being on any medication. These officers were about to arrest me. I had to do something. I wasn't going to let Brian win this easily. "Okay, I'll go with you," I said, hanging my head. The first officer with the clipboard started to walk up to me. I snatched the board out of his hands and booked it to my kitchen. The sliding glass door to my yard was there. Not wasting any time, I wicked it open and ran to the back by my fence. It was already dark outside, and I figured my best chance to escape was out there. I tossed the clipboard over the fence and then quickly climbed over. "Stop! You can't run from us," I heard from one of the officers, but I was already in my neighbor's yard. I hopped the front of their fence and started running down the street toward a wooded area. How far I went into the woods is hard to tell, but I was certain after a while they would not find me. Only when I was sure that no one was around, I lit the clipboard up with a flashlight on my phone. It was Brian's statement. It read as follows. "I, Brian Baker, make this statement of my own free will without coercion or incentive from any party. 2 days ago, I agreed to rent Jake Baker's room in his house and moved in. When I arrived, he informed me that the first month's rent was on him and that he had the money in an envelope on his dining room table as some kind of proof. It seemed strange to me, but I said okay and just set myself up in my new room. The night seemed normal at first, but then I started to hear loud crying, really hysterical sobs. I went to go check on Jake, but when I got to his door, I could hear him talking to himself. Something about how he couldn't do it. Then he said loudly, 'I can hear you outside my door.' I freaked and ran back to my room and just tried to forget about it. But then I heard his door open and he walked over to my closed door. He just stood there crying louder than ever for hours before he eventually went back to his room. The next day he made me food, but I wasn't hungry and still freaked out, so I just went to work. I thought about just leaving my stuff there and trying another place, but he did give me the first month free. I ended up going back for another night. When I got back to my own room, I went about my evening for a while before I noticed a USB charger plugged into the wall. It wasn't there before and seemed strange. I checked it out and saw that it had a camera built in. That's when Jake flipped out and started shouting and laughing like a crazy person. I left my room to try to talk to him about it, but he was already out of his room. He came at me with a bat and hit me hard in the face. After that, he just ran out of the house. I intend to press charges. I sat on the ground staring at his statement in disbelief. My mind was racing as I read it. My stomach soured and I thought I may be sick again. I started to visualize the things that he talked about. That psychic I talked to warned me about dark forces playing tricks on me. Was this another trick? The memories now seemed conflicting in my head. Was I really the one losing my shit? The medication my mother was talking about. Was I really somehow off my meds? Meds that I don't even remember taking? What have I done? Even if he is lying, I just ran from the police. When I tried to call Tyler, it went straight to voicemail. Maybe he did block me. The memories I had of Brian terrorizing me, of that psychic, they were morphing. I was now running these memories through my head again. Me shouting at that nice woman in that small room, Brian bleeding on the ground, writhing in pain as I bolted out my house. Then clear as day, the memory of my medication sitting on my bed. I was pacing back and forth, sobbing uncontrollably, calling Tyler again with no answer before flushing my pills down the toilet. It had to be me. I've lost all concept of reality. My mind has betrayed me. The only thing I can think to do now is turn myself in. That is in fact what I'm going to do after I get done posting this. My battery is almost dead. God have mercy on my soul.